A vehicle feature from Battlefield 4 seems to be returning inside of Battlefield 6. Now, this is coming from the most recent leaks from Battlefield Labs. These videos were all taken down. I will have the article down in the description if you want to kind of read over this yourself. But one video posted this weekend showed some vehicle damage that is visible to you as you're playing or as you're the one dealing damage inside of Battlefield 6. Like I said, all these videos and all the footage from over the weekend has been removed for copyright strikes. As we all know, what's going to happen is it is an NDA to be posting anything from Battlefield Labs. But it seems like in Battlefield 6, you will actually be able to see significant damage to vehicles once they are hit with a rocket or something of that nature, a rocket or another vehicle. So in past Battlefield games, this was not an option, but it was in Battlefield 4. So you would actually see parts fall off of the vehicle when there was significant damage, which was a pretty neat visual feature just for everyone else in the game. Of course, if you're inside the tank in first person, you're not going to see that, but if you're in third person, you would. But you would definitely notice this in Battlefield 4 when you started taking damage or you started dealing damage and you were looking at the tank from the outside, you would see different parts falling off. And this was something, of course, just visually that was pretty unique and pretty neat compared to other Battlefield games, because we all know in most Battlefield games when you deal damage with a rocket, you're just dealing damage. You might see the smoke or some sparks, some fire, or something like that, but you don't see any actual visual damage or anything actually visually happening to that until the tank itself explodes or whatever vehicle you're shooting at. So this being brought back into Battlefield 6, I thought was a pretty interesting idea, a very unique one, considering the game is got some really good detail anyway. Of course, we saw that in the beta with all the the dust and the debris and the way the buildings fell down and stuff like that. I thought it was a very interesting take on how they're wanting to make the game look. They're wanting to go very, very visually detailed, I guess would be the way to, or kind of what I'm thinking of here. Overall, I feel like that's a thing that DICE and Visceral and all the teams there are really wanting to do, or really working hard on, is going into that visual detail and making sure that people are really amazed when they're playing Battlefield 6. We have talked about how the graphics are really good, but of course the kind of color palette that DICE decides to go with over the years has not always been everyone's favorite. It's not really bright colors. Sometimes it's more that kind of war-torn, gritty look, from the blue kind of tones in Battlefield 3 to those kind of grayish green tones we've seen over the years. So Battlefield 6 is definitely the same when it comes to that color palette. And a lot of people have talked about how they wish the game, was color graded a bit differently. But personally, even if you have the color grading we have in Battlefield 6, all of the visual aspects that you're seeing in game, like I said, things of dust and debris, or your buildings crumbling and falling down by piece, or actually being able to see tanks take damage, vehicles take damage, to where if you hit it with 2 rockets to the side, a piece of the side falls off. Or when you hit it with 1 rocket to the back of the tank, which we all know is very strong in Battlefield 6, you're getting, 50 to 60% damage. I'm not quite sure how they're going to adjust that, but you'll see parts of the back of the tank fall off. So I really like that they went back with those visual aesthetics to make the game feel very kind of realistic, but also just very detailed, to where you start to notice little things that you may not have noticed in other shooters or even other Battlefield games. Leave me a comment with your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. I thought it was a very neat feature in Battlefield 4, and I'm glad to see they brought it back in Battlefield 6. Leave me a comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.